A dream built on silver and swagger, a palace that rose from nothing to define a city, only to vanish in flames overnight, betrayed by the very water meant to save it. In the wild heart of 1870 San Francisco, where Comstock silver turned mud streets into marble avenues, one man dared to build the impossible. A 7-story colossus of 26 million bricks, hydraulic elevators, and a glass-crowned courtyard that could swallow a city block. William Chapman Ralston, the golden gambler who financed the West's wildest dreams, poured $5 million, more than the U.S. Capitol, into a hotel that would silence the snickers of Eastern elites and crown San Francisco as the Paris of the Pacific. But ambition has a price. Weeks before the Palace Hotel's doors could swing open, Ralston's body floated lifeless in San Francisco Bay near McGuire's Wharf. Stroke? Suicide? The whispers never died. 50,000 mourners lined the streets, hailing him as the city's greatest builder, while his unfinished masterpiece loomed blocks away, a hollow monument to a man who gambled his empire and lost. The palace opened anyway, a gilded beacon hosting presidents, kings, and opera legends like Enrico Caruso. For 31 years, it reigned as the West's pinnacle of luxury. 755 rooms with electric call buttons, private baths, and an underground reservoir holding 630,000 gallons to defy fire itself. Then came April 18th, 1906. At 5:12 a.m., the San Andreas Fault unleashed hell. The earth danced for 45 seconds, toppling chimneys and shattering windows. But Ralston's iron-reinforced dream held firm. The real killer wasn't the quake. It was the fires that followed, merging into an inferno that devoured the city. Firefighters, desperate and waterless, tapped Ralston's sacred reservoir to save surrounding blocks, only to leave the palace defenseless when flames arrived. 7 stories of opulence burned to a skeleton in hours, the ultimate irony for a hotel engineered to be indestructible. Yet this isn't just a tale of loss. From the ashes rose a phoenix, a rebuilt palace of steel and crystal that has outlasted earthquakes, wars, and time itself, hosting every president from Roosevelt to Obama. This documentary uncovers the scandals, betrayals, and unbreakable spirit behind America's lost palace. The ruthless partner who profited from Ralston's corpse, the king who died in its suites, the tenor who fled its crumbling halls, and the cosmic twist that doomed a fireproof legend. Join us as we peel back the gilded layers of a hotel that vanished overnight and the ghost that refuses to fade. Imagine the fog rolling off the bay, cloaking the wooden wharves where ships from every corner of the globe disgorged fortune seekers. San Francisco in the Gilded Age was a city. It was a fevered dream, a place where men like Ralston turned dust into dynasties. But beneath the swagger lurked the doom. Financial panics, earthquakes waiting in the fault lines, and the relentless fire that had scorched the city 6 times before. Ralston knew the risks. He built against them. And yet, his greatest creation would betray him in ways no one could foresee. Please subscribe to this channel and comment where you are watching from. In the chaotic cradle of Gold Rush, California, where tent cities sprouted like weeds and fortunes flipped faster than poker cards, William Chapman Ralston arrived not as a miner, but as a mastermind. Born in 1826 in Wellsville, Ohio, to a modest family, Ralston cut his teeth as a clerk on Mississippi River steamboats before the siren call of California gold lured him west in 1849. But while others panned rivers for nuggets, Ralston saw the real treasure, the infrastructure that fed the frenzy. By 1854, he'd settled in San Francisco, captaining steamships ferrying prospectors from Panama. He learned quickly the money wasn't in the dirt, it was in the deals. With a restless energy that bordered on mania, Ralston dove into banking, real estate, and whatever venture promised velocity. His motto? Identify risks others shunned, commit fully, and outrun caution. In 1864, he co-founded the Bank of California with Darius Ogden Mills, a conservative Sacramento banker whose steady demeanor balanced Ralston's fire. Mills took the presidency for credibility, but Ralston, as cashier and de facto chief, drove the vision. Capitalized at $2 million, the bank positioned itself as the West's financial powerhouse, west of Chicago. Ralston's genius? Tying it to the Comstock lode, the Nevada silver bonanza, discovered in 1859, which would yield $400 million over 2 decades, all funneled through San Francisco. The bank loaned liberally to mines, taking stock as collateral. Success meant profits. Failure meant ownership. Within years, the Bank of California dominated the Comstock, its vaults swelling with silver bars. But Ralston dreamed bigger than ledgers. He saw himself as San Francisco's architect, pouring bank funds, often blurred with his own, into civic miracles. In 1869, he financed the California Theater on Bush Street, a 1,800-seat jewel with gilded boxes and gaslit chandeliers rivaling Broadway. He backed the Spring Valley Water Company, quenching the city's thirst. He funded the University of California at Berkeley, planting seeds for intellectual grandeur. He carved New Montgomery Street through the dense South of Market fabric, creating a boulevard of progress. His personal life mirrored the scale. In Belmont, 25 miles south, Ralston built Ralston Hall, an Italianate villa on 14 acres, with marble from Italy, paneling from ancient forests, and manicured grounds tended by a legion of gardeners. His wife Elizabeth and 4 children resided there year-round, while Ralston shuttled between city schemes. He even engineered a private reservoir in the hills above, dubbing it Water Dog Lake, employing 100 workers for a water system that symbolized a control over nature itself. Yet, amid this boom, San Francisco harbored a humiliating gap: no Grand Hotel. The city's inns, the Occidental, the Cosmopolitan, the Lick House, were respectable but rustic. Travelers from New York or Paris returned with tales of marble lobbies, elevators, and chandeliers seating hundreds. Paris boasted the Grand Hotel's palatial courtyard. New York, the Fifth Avenue's opulence. London, Claridge's, and the Langham. These weren't mere lodgings. They were statements of urban arrival, hubs for the elite. San Francisco, with its 150,000 souls and silver swagger, craved parity. Ralston, ever the visionary, seized the void. By 1873, he identified his legacy: a hotel surpassing all, fireproof, earthquake-resistant, tech-laden. He acquired a full block at Market in New Montgomery for $400,000, a prime spot in the burgeoning business district, visible from the waterfront, impossible to ignore. Hiring architect John P. Gaynor, Ralston dispatched him to Europe for inspiration. Gaynor studied the continent's finest, returning with blueprints for a 7-story behemoth. A hollow square enclosing a grand court, 755 guest rooms, more than any U.S. hotel. Construction erupted in February 1874. 16 brickyards churning 26 million bricks, 3 granite quarries or foundations, timber from coastal forests processed in Ralston-backed mills. The facade rose with 16 6-story bay windows dominating Market Street, topped by mansard roofs and iron widows' walks. Inside, 804 fireplaces demanded individual flues. 7,000 windows flooded corridors with light. But innovation defined it. 5 hydraulic elevators, West Coast first, dubbed rising rooms to ease fears. Electric call buttons summoned service. Hot and cold running water piped the rooms. Private or shared baths, a rarity. Ralston's paranoia shaped the core. Iron reinforcing against fires that had razed San Francisco before. Deep bedrock anchors for quakes. The Grand Court, vast enough for carriages, crowned by iron truss glass skylight. Natural light, weatherproof arrivals. Marble pillars, weighted floors for horses. And the fireproof crown, a 630,000-gallon basement reservoir from 4 artesian wells, independent of city mains. Ralston, haunted by blazes, ensured his palace could fight flames alone. By summer 1875, it neared completion. Walls up, roofs on, elevators tested, reservoir full. Cost ballooned to $5 million, 3 times estimates. Funded by bank loans that tangled personal ambition with depositor trust. Standing on Market, gazing at the towering edifice, Ralston saw vindication. A California creation, not Eastern import, announcing the West's arrival. But velocity has consequences. Ralston's bets, once brilliant, now teetered. The dream that would immortalize him was about to consume him. As Ralston's palace rose brick by brick in San Francisco, its foundations rested on silver from 250 miles east. The Comstock lode, a chaotic Nevada hive of tunnels, timber, and treachery. To harness it, Ralston needed a proxy. Enter William Sharon, a fellow Ohioan who'd chased gold-rush dreams, lost a real estate fortune, and hungered for redemption. In 1864, Ralston installed Sharon as Virginia City branch manager, granting broad authority. Virginia City, perched on Mount Davidson, had ballooned from tents to 15,000 souls in 5 years, a lawless boomtown of dynamite blasts, stock rumors, and saloon brawls. Sharon, intelligent and ruthless, opened a branch on C Street, ostensibly for deposits and loans. But his true game? Domination. Sharon's strategy was predatory elegance, offered generous loans to struggling minds rejected elsewhere. When defaults hit, inevitable in silver's volatility, the bank foreclosed, consolidating claims. He repeated with reduction mills, processing or into bars. Independence crumbled under bank financing, selling out or losing all. By 1867, Sharon controlled most mills, dictating rates, cooperate for favors, resist for ruin, transportation seal control. In 1869, Sharon spearheaded the Virginia and Truckee Railroad, a narrow-gauge lifeline connecting Virginia City to Reno's transcontinental line. Government subsidies flowed. By 1870, Sharon monopolized or hauls timber deliveries, silver shipments. Mines paid as rails or perished. Please subscribe to this channel and comment where you are watching from. Stock plays completed the web. Insider production data fueled pre-news buys or sells. Sharon bought the Territorial Enterprise newspaper, ensuring bank-friendly headlines while skewering rivals. By the early 1870s, his empire spanned a dozen mines, key mills, the railroad, timber ops, even Virginia City's water. Locals crowned him king of the Comstock, a title laced with venom. An Enterprise editorial pre-purchase called him feared, hated, and despised. Sharon shrugged off scorn. He'd minted fortunes for Ralston's bank. In 1874, craving prestige, he had Nevada's U.S. Senate seat, elected by legislature. Sharon campaigned as he conquered, bought the Enterprise for spin, invested in legislators' ventures, distributed cash. Cost, nearly $1 million. On March 4th, 1875, Senator Sharon took his oath. Silver streamed to San Francisco, fueling Ralston's dreams. But the palace drained reserves. $5 million diverted via loan secured by Ralston's word, eroding the line between bank and builder. Rumors swirled. Overexposure to failing mines, lavish projects. On August 26, 1875, depositors gathered before opening, senses tingling with panic. The run began quietly. Withdrawals trickled, then surged. By noon, lines snaked down California Street. Tellers dispensed $1.4 million. Banks liquid core. At 3 p.m., doors shut, operations suspended. That evening, directors audited. Millions in Ralston loans, unsecured beyond promises. The palace, waterworks, railroad, all bank-funded phantoms. They demanded resignation. Ralston complied, deeding assets to Sharon for liquidation. August 27th dawned grim. Ralston walked north to his club, then Neptune bathhouse for his ritual-based swim. Witnesses saw him stroke toward Alcatraz. Hours later, his body surfaced near McGuire's Wharf. Crowds gathered. Disbelief rippled. Murder? Fake death? Autopsy. No water in lungs. Apoplectic stroke. Convenient for insurance. Paying strokes, but not suicides. Elizabeth and children collected. Whispers persisted. Funeral. September 8th, 50,000 lined streets, one-third the city. Memorial. 8,000 heard paeans to the greatest builder, glossing financial sins. Sharon moved like a vulture. Reorganized bank. Reopen October with $2 million gold. Mills president. He eulogized Ralston publicly while privatizing profits. Ralston Hall, bought for $50,000, worth millions. The palace, assumed via debts, settled cheap. On October 2nd, 5 weeks post-death, the palace welcomed residents. Sharon greeted crowds, owner by default. The dream Ralston died for now lined his betrayers' pockets. Sharon's reign, absentee senator, 1% votes, palace sweet as base. But scandal shadowed. 1880s affair with Sarah Althea Hill. Fiery beauty visiting via Grand Hotel Bridge. Ended bitterly. Hill sued for divorce in 1883, forging a marriage contract. Trials exposed intimacies. Hill wed her lawyer, violent ex-Justice David Terry. Sharon's health faltered. He died November 13, 1885, at 64, in Ralston Hall, amid litigation. The palace? In different owners, it thrived, until fate's next twist. With Ralston's ghost barely settled, the Palace Hotel flung open its doors on October 2nd, 1875, not to transients, but long-term residents, a savvy soft launch to iron out kinks. William Sharon, now undisputed owner, mingled in the grand court, deflecting Ralston queries with polished deflection. Newspapers marveled at the scale. Carriages rolling under the vast glass skylight, gas chandeliers flickering on marble pillars, the air humming with possibility. 2 weeks later, transient arrived. Within months, the palace claimed San Francisco's throne. Sharon hired Warren Leland, New York hotel veteran, to orchestrate crisp housekeeping, meticulous accounting, service rivaling Europe. Rooms commanded premium rates, rarely full, but profitable. Sharon claimed an upper-floor suite. His San Francisco lair despite senatorial duties. Washington bored him. Sessions part-time. He attended 1 in 20, voting 1% of rolls. Nevada's other senators shouldered the load, while Sharon wheeled from palace bar and bank offices. The palace became more a social vortex. Presidents graced suites. Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, drawing Market Street crowds for glimpses of power. King Kalakaua of Hawaii made it his residence in the 1880s, blending Polynesian royalty with California tycoons. On January 20th, 1891, he died in a suite, the only reigning monarch to perish on U.S. soil. The palace hosted his funeral, drawing global eyes, affirming San Francisco's Pacific hub status. By the 1890s, the Grand Court evolved. Circular carriage drive yielded to potted palms, birthing the Palm Court. Tropical fronds reached for the 7-story skylight. Tables replaced cobblestones. Afternoon teas drew elites. Society matrons in European finery. Power brokers sealing deals over china cups. Waiters gliding like shadows. Weddings filled ballrooms. Conventions lured railroad barons, miners, bankers. In a 350,000-pop city, the palace wasn't lodging. It was a pulse, commercial nexus, social salon, Gilded Age emblem. Sharon's scandal simmered. Hill's lawsuit dragged post-death, his estate battling her claims. But the palace endured, indifferent. Enter spring 1906. The Metropolitan Opera tour from New York. Full troupe in tow. Enrico Caruso, world's premier tenor, headlined. Assigned a 5th-floor suite, he performed Don Jose and Carmen at the Grand Opera House on Mission Street, April 17th. Ovations echoed. He dined late, retiring after midnight. That night, 800 guests slumbered. Businessmen, socialites, tourists. Staff polished silver in the Palm Court. Oiled elevators, stoked basement boilers. The hotel hummed in pre-dawn hush, as it had for 31 years. A foreshock rumbled at 5:12 a.m., April 18th to 20th seconds, waking few. Silence. Then rupture. 296 miles of San Andreas fault slipped. Pacific Plate lurching north. Ground shifted 20 feet. Quake race at 8,300 miles per hour, hitting San Francisco in 30 seconds. Caruso jolted awake. My bed rocks as though I am on a ship. 5 seconds later, main shock. The palace danced. 7 stories swayed. Windows exploded, glass raining on market. Chimneys plunged through roofs, plaster clouded halls. The skylight shattered, crystal cascading onto Palm Court tables. 45 seconds of terror. Guests hurled from beds, screaming in dust-filled corridors. Elevators jammed. Stairs became lifelines. Caruso peered out. Market undulated like waves. Buildings across crumpled, walls burying souls. The quake spanned Oregon to L.A., Nevada to Pacific, but San Francisco, on Phil and Marsh, catastrophized. City Hall partially collapsed, Opera House ruined. Residential blocks pancaked, alarms wailed. Yet the palace stood Cracks, debris, but Ralston's iron held. Earthquake-proof as promised. Guests evacuated, some in night clothes, others with bags. Staff directed chaos. 800 descended darkened stairs. Caruso, in Union Square with trunks, valet retrieved 54. Fended a thief. Soldier intervened, recognizing the tenor. Fame's perk amid apocalypse. Dawn revealed ruin. Ignition point sparked. Stoves, gas lines, wires. Dozens merged into infernos. Water mains shattered. Hydrants dry. Fire Chief Sullivan dead. Chimney crush. Deputy John Doherty commanded waterless brigades. The palace, hard downtown, ringed by fuel, offices, shops, hotels. Smoke rose south, northwest, a tightening noose. Ralston's reservoir brimmed, but fate loomed. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe to this channel. As dawn bled through smoke on April 18th, 1906, fires metastasized across San Francisco. What began as scattered blazes, overturned stoves in Hayes Valley igniting a ham and eggs fire that razed 30 blocks. Gas leaks south of Market trapping dozens in rubble. Coalesced into a city-swallowing inferno. Winds whipped flames eastward. Wooden frames fed the beast. Firefighters battled blind. 300-plus mains broken. Hill reservoirs full, but pipelines shattered along the fault. Hydrants spat dust. Crews siphoned sewers. Bay salt water. Futile against a gale. Chief Sullivan crushed dead. Doherty inherited Armageddon. Multiple fronts, no resources. Downtown, financial heart. Hotels, commerce, lay in the path. The palace stood sentinel, but its salvation turned curse. The 630,000-gallon reservoir, plus 130,000 in roof tanks, fed by 28,000 gallons hourly from artesian wells. Ralston's paranoia birthed one of downtown's largest water troves. By noon, Doherty decided, use it. Hoses hooked to palace standpipes, 8 4-inch mains for city engines. Pumps roared. Ralston's water surged outward, battling blazes blocks away. Level dropped. Wells couldn't replenish against outflow. Hour by hour, the hotel's lifeblood drained. Afternoon, flames neared. Grand Hotel across New Montgomery ignited. Monadnock South burned. Embers leaped. Winds fanned. Around 2 p.m., fire breached the palace. Through shattered windows, finding wooden paneling, redwood halls, mahogany suites. Ralston shell, iron brick, was fireproof. Interiors weren't. Miles of wood ignited. Flames raced floors. Staff, lingering hopeful, fled. Reservoir, empty. Roof tanks, drained. The water built to save the palace saved others, leaving it naked. By late afternoon, 7 stories blazed. Flames from every window, skylight exploding in heat. Palm Court tropics charred. Reception desk, carpets, chandeliers. 30 years, luxury vaporized. Soldiers watched from market. Nothing left to do. The palace burned brilliantly, visible across the bay, a red glowing skeleton by dusk. Ralston's indestructible dream, quake survivor, doomed by its own generosity. Irony etched in ash. The fireproof hotel with private ocean burned because firefighters sacrificed it for city. 3 days, fires consumed 490 blocks, 28,000 buildings, 80% downtown. Death toll, 3000 plus. Refugees camped in Golden Gate Park. Army dynamited breaks. The palace's walls stood 156 days. Ralston built too well. Demolition crews labored 5 months raising the unraised. But the name endured. August 23, 1906. Sharon Heirs Incorporated Palace Hotel Company. Temporary fix. Baby Palace. 2-story with post in Leavenworth. 23 rooms. Open November 17th. Chef Ernest Arbogast from the original presided. Society attended. Clinging to legacy. July 1907. Lease rebuilt Fairmont on Nob Hill for a decade. Shifting ops. Baby Palace became Olympic Club quarters, later apartments. Permanent rebirth. New York's Trowbridge and Livingston, St. Regis Masters, designed. 9 stories, steel frame, Renaissance revival. Garden Court. 110 by 85 feet, 70,000 leaded glass panes, 2,700-pound Austrian chandeliers, 16 Italian marble columns, grandest U.S. space. Construction, late 1907 onward. Cleared site reused Ralston foundations, steel rose 1908. Glass installed summer, marble from Italy. Cost, $10 million, twice original. December 19, 1909. 3 years, 8 months post-fire. William Sharon unlocked with golden key. Thousands marveled. Marble lobby, Maxfield Parish's Pied Piper mural, Garden Court's light dancing splendor. The palace resumed reign. Theodore Roosevelt stayed. Woodrow Wilson spoke Versailles in 1919. Warren G. Harding died in 1864, 1923. Autopsy refused. Theories swirled. 1945. UN founding banquet. 50 nations under chandeliers. Birthing post-war order. 1954. Sheridan by Sheridan Palace. Nikita Khrushchev banquet 1959. 1969. Garden Court landmark number 18. 1973. Japan's Kyoya Group acquired. Sheridan managed. By 1980s. Age showed January 1989 closure for $150 million Reno. October 17, 1989. Loma Prieta quake, 6.9, 15 seconds. Damaged mid-Reno. Seismic upgrades, reinforced frame, flex systems. Reopened April 3, 1991. Pristine quake ready. Presidents continued. Clinton, Obama. 2010. Historic Hotels of America. 2015 Reno. 2016 Excellence Award. In 2025, 116 years post-rebuild, 147 total on-site. The Palace stands. Hosting elites. Teas in Garden Court. Cocktails under parish. Survived quakes, wars, downturns as San Francisco endures. Ralston died ruined, doors unentered. Sharon profited, then faded. But the palace, ghost of gilded dreams, outlasts resilient Phoenix on Market and New Montgomery.